Hi friends, welcome back to the Plain Fun RC channel as we continue or begin our build of the St. Croix models Long Easy. So you can see here we're starting off, we've got our instruction manual here. We're going to be starting with our wing construction in just a second here. Just want to let you know what we're beginning with, and we have our plans all laid out. As you can see here, we're starting with our set of plans. There's two sets of plans, one for the wings and one for the fuselage. So you can see we've got our plans all laid out. Now what I like to do, as you've seen in some of my other videos, I like to build with magnets. For many years, was one of the pin types. You take your pins, pushed it through the wood, get it to stay. But I discovered magnets off a website called airfieldmodels.com. That's airfieldmodels.com. They sell a set of magnetic parts, pieces, whatever you want to do, in different sizes. You can see I've got them up here, all different sizes, and from the smallest to the largest. And they use 100-pound magnets. Here we're just using some rare earth magnets to hold the plans and the plastic in place. The plastic is just clear plastic trash bag. For years I used wax paper, but I discovered the clear plastic trash bag is a much better alternative to holding the plans in place. So we'll be going through and taking our time and going piece by piece as we begin the process of building the wing. All right, more to come. All right, friends, we're continuing our update here on the St. Croix models Long Easy. So, because this kit is 37 years old, the way I know it, because you can see there's the date right there. It was actually drawn and cut. Because this kit is 37 years old, a lot of the metal parts, the steel parts have begun rusting pretty bad. But there's a very easy, very simple fix. We can still use a lot of these because good old WD-40, not only is it good for oiling, but it's also fantastic for removing rust. That's what I had to do with the Quickie, the St. Croix Quickies that we built previously, because that was also about the same, those two kits were about the same age. So we just have these pieces here, and then we've got our elevator connector rod right here. You can see the center portion there is rusted a little bit, so we got to spray that. But anyway, it's not too complicated. We're going to leave it here in the plastic, or you can even use a Ziploc bag. Either works really well. But we'll go ahead, we'll spray it, we'll let it sit overnight. That's the best thing to do. And then you sort of take them out and then put them in a new bag and do it again. You may have to do it 2 or 3 times to get as much of the rust off as possible. You won't get 100% off, but it'll be enough to where you can go ahead and be able to use the parts. All right, more to come. Okay, so you can see how we've got our parts soaking. We're in the WD-40, so we're going to let that sit overnight. And by tomorrow, most of the rust will be gone. More to come. All right, friends, getting back to the build here. We've got our foam cores laid out. Everything is pre-cut. Now, when you have the plane, you don't want to throw away the cores or the covers because you're going to need those to maintain proper incidence and to help you go ahead and put on the top sheeting. And you can see everything is automatically labeled as well. We've got our top right, as indicated here, with the TR, and then TL is top left. And now we're going to go ahead and take the tops off, and we're going to label the cores with those same configuration. Hello, friends, as we continue our update here. So we are preparing the sheeting to go over the foam cores. Let's talk about what we're seeing here. So first, in order to understand this, let's look at the instructions here. And you can see the general width at one end and the overall length here. And so we have a width of 3/8 and a thickness of 3/8 and a thickness of 3 inches here. So you can see we've marked off 3/8 here. Remember, if you look carefully, there's the edge of the wood. 3/8 is there. And then we've got 3 inches here. This is our middle piece right here, okay? Going from here to about to here. Now, this piece is 1.5 inches. So the trick behind cutting that is that you have to take a longer piece, as you can see here, okay? And you're gonna measure 1.5 on one end, but you're gonna glue it in place. Okay, after you've gone ahead and cut the width of 1.5 inches, glue it in place just like you see here. Now, you're gonna take your 3/8 inch mark here and the corner here, and you're gonna draw a line as we've done, okay? So that's the important thing to keep in mind when you're doing the sheeting. And then we're gonna go ahead and take a little X-Acto and we're gonna cut that. All right, more to come. All right, friends, as we continue our update here on the assembly of the wing for the Long Easy, you can see we've got our 4 outer sheet panels assembled. And we're going to go ahead now. We're going to start on the mid-wing section pattern. You can see right here. They have all the measurements that way. And the important thing also is we're going to make sure that the grain on the leading edge goes this way because it has to curve around the front. The other thing we're going to do this morning is we have our, once again, we have our rusted part still sitting in the oil. We're going to go ahead and drain that oil and put in some fresh oil in there to help further break apart the rusted parts. Or reduce some of the rust. Now, it won't all come off, but enough of it will come off to where the parts will be usable. So that's our plan for today, and more to come. Okay, friends, as we continue our our build video, focusing once again on the pattern for the midsection sheeting. Let me show you how we're working on this piece here. So first of all, as I mentioned before, we're cutting the piece to be 7 3/4 long, as you can see here. Then we're making a mark that is 2 1/16 on one side, 1/2 inch on the other, and this is what we end up with, okay? Because what we're gonna do is we take our, whatever, you know, a ruler, whatever it is you wanna use, you're gonna line it up with the mark here on the left, and then the 1/2 inch mark on the right, and just use your X-Acto blade to go right along there, and that's how you get this wonderful angled piece, okay? All right, more to come. So you can see our diagonal line that has been drawn. Ignore these measurements that have been written down. I was going to use this piece but for something else, but decided not to. Anyway, you can see our line has been drawn, and we have now created, per the instructions, as you can see, we've now created our piece right here. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to make the cut, and then we'll have our first piece. All right, more to come. All right, friends, continuing our update here as we're creating the sheeting. First of all, you can see we've got our pieces joined. Let me bring this over here so you can see it as relation to the actual picture. So you can see what we're doing right now is we have gone ahead, we have cut our piece here, and that's at the bottom here. We've cut our piece here, and that's this piece right here. And then we've cut our piece here, and that's this piece right here. So now we're cutting our next piece, which is this little piece, this little triangle right there, as you can see. So what we did, once again, much like it shows in the picture, we've measured 3 inches here. Then we measured 2 5/8. Whoop, just over so you can see a little better. 2 5/8 right here. And then you simply go through, and once again, we're drawing our line, and then we're cutting along the line. That's how we get our diagonal cut. And then what that does, that then will go through and fit very nicely on the top of here, as you can see. Now, one suggestion is when you're going to glue this piece to here, make sure that these edges are even here. Okay, and the reason for that is because we've got to butt this piece up against here, and these edges are not even. It's going to make it, the fit won't be right. If these edges out here are a little uneven, that's okay, because we can always sand those so that they're even. But very important, when you're butting pieces like this and you're going to add another piece here, as shown in the picture, get the edges even. All right, more to come. All righty, everybody, as we continue our update here, you can see we've got our 4 pieces for our midsection of the wing completed. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to move on to the next part of the process as we move into our pattern for the core section sheeting right there. Our center section right there, and that'll be our next step. Okay, more to come. All right, friends, welcome back as we continue with our preparing our final sheeting. So you can see here we have our partial sheets ready to go here. We're looking at the sections here, here, and here. So there's that piece right there. Now, this part is going to be the most difficult of all the sheeting pieces. Here's the only advice I can give you. Make sure to measure this off accurately first, then measure this, and then measure this, because these are all right angles. Now, the tricky part is this 5/8 inch. Notice how it's at an angle, and be careful of the grain of the wood as well. What you're going to need to do is to create a template. Once you've cut out the template, double check your measurements. Make sure that these measurements are correct, okay? Once they're correct, then you're just going to need to take your template and lay it on a sheet of wood. like so, so that the grain matches and it runs in the same direction, and then simply draw out your template and cut it. Okay. Now, when that piece is finally glued on to this section here, it's going to look like this. This is here's the wing plans, and you can see how it's going to sit on the actual section of the foam wing here. Okay, so important to keep that in mind as you're putting it together. Like I said, it's going to be a little tricky, and it may look bigger than the plans, but that's okay because you've got to take into account the curvature of the actual center section as well. And to show you what I'm talking about here, let me zoom in on the larger long easy. You can see this section right in here that I'm focused on. That's really what we're working on at this time, so you can see how curved it is to give you an idea. All right, more to come.